please remember to leave a like, a comment, share the video about, and if you haven't already, subscribe. Thank you. Well, isn't this just fantastic? Captain's log, subdates 230206.9. The charges are set and the first meeting is now underway. I have Ensign Spoon doing the translating while I try to resist the urge to annihilate a room full of bleeding forks. Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Today I have two videos I'd like to go through. The first via catch up. A trans lesbian is telling lesbians that they shouldn't talk about how they do not like penis because it makes transbians feel unsafe and unwanted. This one was a swerve, but it reminded me eerily of the days of Riley Dennis saying that sexual preferences were in some manner bigoted, because you, predominantly the straight white person, had to welcome into your heart, your body, your soul. Everyone, regardless of what you want, because even though your autonomy is important, apparently it is not at the same time. I had to remove the audio because of music, by the way, copyright issues. Now I initially had no idea what that statement meant, until the next person spoke.
I know another trans girl made a post about this, but it's been bothering me, so I want to make a post about it.
You look really young, so I'm going to be very careful how I respond to you. Now, of course, when it comes to seeing something you fundamentally disagree with, I keenly await a masterpiece of a response. I guess the problem is, I'm not entirely convinced I'm going to get that.
I am a trans lesbian.
Weird flex, but okay.
And every time I hear a lesbian talk about their dislike of mascara wands, it hurts me.
Why? How narcissistic do you have to be to make an issue about yourself? The entire point about having a sexual preference is that you are not going to want certain things. How that is a you thing is a bit novel, really, because what lesbian means to you does not reflect others. There are going to be some that are more welcoming of you and your trans lesbianism or transbian, I believe it was referenced in that tweet earlier. That is not going to apply to everyone. Just so you understand, we do not exist within the realm of Slanesh, where everyone shags each other in a perpetual orgy of pain, agony, and pleasure. Not everyone is going to want a slice of you. That is their right. You may not like it, but that is again a you problem.
It hurts trans women. It makes us feel unwanted.
No, it doesn't. It makes you feel that you're unwanted, and maybe a select minority. Others will understand that some do not want to be with someone who is trans. That is not inherently transphobic, nor is it exclusionary. It is, again, a preference. And there is nothing wrong with a preference.
It makes us feel not wanted in the community, period.
I'd love to know what your thoughts are on the rising number of lesbians who felt pressured to have sex and relationship with trans women, and then pressured and coerced into accepting as partners and then shunned and threatened for speaking out. Link to a relevant article from 2021 down below if you ever see this video and like to offer a comment on it. By the way, under UK law, manipulation and coercion is a form of domestic violence.
Because there is an equation almost every time in one of these posts of mascara wands to lesbianism. I'm not saying you can't have a preference. I'm saying don't talk about it publicly.
Oh, this is less about expressing one's preferences, more about being able to speak about one's preferences, which is what I earlier stated, a form of, well, pressure and coercion, oddly enough. If someone wants to publicly state what their sexuality is and their preferences, that is their decision. It is called free speech. The ability to express what one thinks and feels is very important, much like what you are doing now when you take offense, which is your right, to someone else saying what they feel and what they prefer over something else. I, as a very much straight man, should surely take offense at the fact that someone prefers scissors to wands. How dare they? The inner asexual Amish in me is really offended by this, mostly because scissors are far too advanced. Have you considered a washboard instead?
I'm saying don't post about it on Maine to get 100k likes.
Why not? What if they're in the market and are looking for a bit of action? Even if you could prove the person who posted the original video was transphobic, why does it matter so much to you how they express themselves or how much attention they get for expressing themselves? You use TikTok, you know the game. Things like that will get a lot of attention. that in turn helps them as a user. This is hardly rocket science. Again though, what's the problem, really?
When you post about it publicly, it hurts us. It makes us feel unwanted. It makes us feel unsafe. It makes us feel discarded.
That is because you are taking offense. Again, something that is your right. You are looking for it to take offense as well though, which means you are looking for a problem to have, rather than accepting we are in a society where it is okay to be different. Somewhat ironic considering your current situation, except apparently for you, the avatar of transbians, it seems to be a case of, I'm this, all of you must allow me in you. And if that's not the case, you can't tell people that you don't want me anywhere near you. You are not an authority, nor are you in any form of authoritative position to boss others around as to what they do and how they express their sexuality.
We are a group constantly defined by our genitals, and when you hate on us, hate on those body parts, it feels disgusting.
At present, I will concede there is a lot more discussion when it comes to gender criticisms. Usually people who are gender critical are also identified as a TERF. I'm not a TERF, I'm not a feminist. Gender critical? No, I'm just a no lives matter type. I'm going to criticize everyone. You are making a point seem more grandiose than the original point was, to suit a narrative and argument, a form of argumentation at least, that doesn't really stack up. You are just looking to be offended, and in turn latch onto the original video because you know that bleeds onto you to make your prophetic point that comes across as pathetic point.
Just make this place safer for us, that's it. Make it comfortable.
Why? Why should anyone make something comfortable for everyone else? It is not a criticism as a question, a genuine question. Why should others make an effort for you? By doing so, you further prove the point of the BBC article I earlier referenced. Pressure and coercion. You are applying pressure by using your platform to ask others to not speak on something. You are deciding what is and is not acceptable forms of conversation. This in and of itself only ends with you receiving more criticism. You won't like that because it turns out the court of public opinion will look at what you've said and call you a massive smeghead. So moving on to the second video, we go to a tweet via TrueKneeToons. He's convinced he has PMS and went to hospital because he has gassiness, bloating, breast tenderness, cramps and irritability. Again, the user is quite young, so I'm going to refrain from being too harsh. I don't want to be a bully, I don't want to be that kind of person, but they're going to say some rather interesting things, and I think you'd all enjoy that.
I feel like the trans woman period isn't really talked about enough. So you see, a few days ago, I started experiencing extra breast tenderness, like more than normal. Like a lot of trans women will experience that with the hormones, especially as they grow, but it was extra sensitive essentially.
Undoomed had replied underneath this video with, indeed, and when you take medication and get weird side effects, those aren't really side effects, they're PMS cramps. That's just science. With my favourite reply underneath, Taco Bell gave me PMS, a memoir. Which, oddly enough, I had Chipotle in my head for this one. That's what I thought. But as I have yet to play enough of the video for us to make an informed decision, we can put it up in the air. Is it Taco Bell or Chipotle?
So, I have an extra medication on top of my, my hormones that I just started. So I have some concerns about, like, if it started poorly interacting or whatever. Especially because the other day, the day after the breast tenderness started, my abdomen started cramping up and I was starting to feel extremely gassy.
So the polite answer to this will be the following. Medication takes time for your body to adjust to it. It is to your body a foreign interloper, an invader. Therefore your body will have an adverse effect in some manner. Again, it takes your body time to adjust to the fact that it is there to help you on your path, on your journey, the healing process as it were. The dickhead answer is, did you have supersize? I knew it!
The gassiness was bloating. The abdomens, it was, they were cramps. So I go to the hospital, per their recommendation, just to make sure everything's okay. And so I lay down on the table, describe my symptoms to the doctor. The doctor kind of puts pressure on my lower abdomen area where the pain is centered, and I come to find out that they were PMS symptoms.
Just to be clear on what it actually is, There are symptoms that are similar to those of PMS. One has to make a distinction because there's an obvious difference. The NHS, for example, states that a period is part of the menstrual cycle. However, PMS and PMDD are terms that refer to the physical and emotional symptoms that people may experience before that begins. And just in case someone doesn't know, PMDD symptoms are usually more severe to that of PMS. Transgender women can transition in a variety of ways. Hormone therapy is the more obvious one. Those that undergo this take oral, transdermal injectable versions of estrogen. Hormone therapy changes how the body distributes fat, promotes breast growth, reduces male pattern hair growth, and how trans women experience PMS-like symptoms normally comes down to anecdotal evidence. There isn't much more in the way of it than that. It all suggests that transgender women do experience a form of symptom akin to that of PMS. But this really hasn't been studied all that much, so anecdotal is the best one can offer. It is why many roll their eyes when they hear about this.
I was experiencing PMS from my estrogen. I have no uterus, I have no blood coming out of weird places, but I'm still getting the cramping, the tiredness, the irritability.
Just advance warning, in case you say it around others that are less receptive to you saying that. Those who are men will never say those words, or admit that those are obvious, because some people don't like it when you tell them this, just so you know when you are to be offended as you get older. Okay.
All of that. The breast tenderness is part of it too. All of that. It was PMS, and the reason why I feel like bringing that up is because it was like one of the few things I wasn't really warned about before I started hormones.
No offense intended to you, but I highly doubt you were not forewarned about all the consequences, because there are a lot of them. Anyone that transitions will be given ample information and opportunity so they understand the path they now tread is one of vast change. No one's going to believe you if you say you were not warned of this, or you would not have had the ability or capacity to do enough research yourself to warn yourself. This is not overly complicated. More a damning statement about your laziness, perhaps. Now, unlike the first video, I'm not actually as bothered by this particular person. The reason why is because there is a point here worth highlighting, and that is, at present there isn't too much research in the area of trans PMS. But I do think the first video was very, very funny, and if I could, I'd redo it over and over again.